Hello, and welcome to Skyrim, Series 2. After having such a huge positive feedback from my first series, I thought it wouldn't be fair if I didn't make a second one. So after developing a story, updating mods, adding new ones, I think I'm finally ready to complete a new, more interesting, in-depth, longer story for this time around. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, for this character and this roleplay, I've decided to change it up in terms of combat style. Originally, my first character was a ranger survivalist type that survived mostly off of long-range archery, but wasn't afraid to go into close combat either with a sword, hatchet, you name it. However, for this character, I want to do something a little bit different. Not only will I be changing the race, but I'll also be changing up the playstyle that goes along with it. So, for instance, my character will be a Brenton. Be very powerful with magic, as my archetype will be a battle mage. Now, with this overhaul that I have, he'll be weak in terms of melee combat, at least taking hits, but in terms of other things, he'll do fine. The actual character himself, well, let's say he's a bit hot-headed. The reason why he's in Skyrim is that he would end up being in a lot of fights with his fellow mages in training. So instead of magic, he'd beat their face in. So I think the country of Skyrim and the Nordic people are a lot better of a fit. So, in terms of character, the standard Brenton seems pretty fine to me. However, I will clean up his complexion. And overall, everything seems to be in order. I will change his facial hair though. Clean shaven seems good. Now, in terms of name, I've looked at some of the original Elder Scrolls names that Bretons would normally have. So, I've chosen Begard as his name, as I just feel like it's a very strong name, so you think Begard. So, let's type that in. Now I will go ahead and do all this race customization. So as a male Brenton, my conjuration skill increases 10% faster, and my alchemy, alteration, illusion, restoration, and speech skills all are 5% faster as well. My starting health is measly 60, so I'm kind of weak in terms of actually taking any kind of punishment. However, magicka and stamina are average, so I'm okay with that. And my carry weight, well, I have mods for carry weight, so that really isn't a true value. In terms of my standing stone, I will be going with the Lord Stone. The Lord Stone gives me a 50 armor rating boost, as well as 25% magic resist. That going along with the Brenton's natural ability to resist magic, I'll be very strong against other mages and will have an advantage in terms of fighting warriors. If I take a hit, armor rating will naturally help me out. Now, in terms of classes, easily magic classes, and I'll be picking a battle mage. Now, a battle mage is different from a regular mage, as a battle mage is willing to fight with a sword or a mace, usually one of those two, maybe an axe, but not very commonly. My major skills will be one-handed, alteration, conjuration, destruction, enchanting, and alchemy. So you can kind of see being a Brenton, alchemy, conjuration, alteration. I have lots of huge bonuses, as well as destruction is going to be a big thing. And definitely alchemy as well. So, all done here. And now we get to configure our mods. So this will be interesting. So first things first, let's set up my College of Winterhold story.
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
I am a new member of a local guild.
Which guild are you a new recruit for?
The College of Winterhold. Oh, you can also pick the Dawn Guard, the Dark Brotherhood, so any other interesting roleplays like that if you're interested in making a roleplay.
The glorious power of magic shall be yours to command.
Alright, and lastly, let's configure some mods. Unlike the first episode of my first series, I'll go through this rather quickly. So, in terms of mods, alternate actors is something I'm probably not going to use. It just happens to be here. Basically, you can be an you can choose to be an NPC. So, I want to be Jarl Balgriff. I'm Jarl Balgriff. I'm actually the actor that plays him. BSF effects is basically burn, frost, shock effects, so improved effects on bodies, like actually being burned, stuff like that. Convenient horses gives companions horses, as well as makes your horse friendly to other factions. Dodge mod, dual wheel pairing mod, as it sounds. Dynavision is a visual mod. Frostfall is something I will need to configure, however. Now, what Frostfall is that it is a basic survival mod. So, cold, rain, being wet, that kind of stuff can affect your survival, and you can die from exposure. So now that we've activated it, I will also activate wear, which makes whatever you're wearing important to your survival. So warmer clothes means more protection. Immersive HUD, as it sounds, makes it more immersive, so you won't see any compass or health bars or anything like that most of the time. Helps bring the roleplay into a more immersive, self-explanatory. Lanterns of Skyrim adds lampposts all over, so there's more light. I got some complaints about lighting from a couple of the earlier episodes, but that was an intended effect, as I wanted it to be a dark, mysterious ruin. But I think after so long playing so many dark dungeons and stuff like that by myself, as well as the Let's Play, I got tired of it, so I made it, normal, maybe a little bit brighter. Magic Duel, as it sounds, you can have duels with magic. You can have like really cool one-on-ones, spell-on-spell action. You have to like a little mini game. Whoever's stronger, if you're on a Magicka, you lose. If you can beat them, you can get a really cool special kill cam kind of thing. OBS or OBIS is mods for more bandits around Skyrim, as well as more unique bandits, so that'll be interesting in terms of more combat on the road. Player head tracking is when an NPC looks at you. When he turns his head, you do the same thing for the NPC. It's more of an immersive kind of feel. Real estate, real shelter, and realistic needs. Real estate is for selling and buying buildings, so maybe I'll become a little bit of an entrepreneur. Real shelter is if I'm under a balcony and it's raining, it'll count as me being in shelter. Realistic needs, something I need to activate, a food mod, disease, booze, stuff like that. More realistic. And yes, I can die of thirst. I will also add removing of spoiled food, and food spoilage is an option, so if I have food after so amount of days, it can go bad and I'll automatically get rid of it. Sands of Time is another mod which involves random activations, running into more bandits, other creatures, So it's actually a really big mod, and it's updated all the time. It's really great. Oh, I can't activate it until I leave this place. Okay, no problem. SkyUI is the user interface is modded, so it's more organized and clean. Sneak Tools allows me to get items like throwing a hook on a wall and then climbing the wall. It's not perfect, but it really does work out. And lastly, the Dance of Death, which is also an activation mod. And it allows me to customize how often a kill move happens. And I want that to happen as much as possible. I think it adds a lot of spice to fighting. Definitely really cool to see. And that is about that. I will activate my Sands of Time mod and the Economics of Skyrim, which was not shown here, which will raise prices, so I will need a substantial amount of money to actually do things. So it's time to start my adventure. Quite a trip. Daggerfall to Skyrim. Winterhold specifically. Perhaps life will be a little bit better. Daggerfall was always a bit boring. I'd always be the first to throw a punch, but apparently that wasn't something good from a mage. To hell with them. Mages should be strong, not afraid to throw a punch or two. Hopefully things will be a little better. I'll actually learn some powerful magic. Something practical.
I believe I've made myself rather clear.
Yes, of course.
You must be one of the teachers here.
Trying to understand the reasoning behind the decision.
You may be used to the Empire bowing to your every whim, but I'm afraid you'll find the Thalmor received no such treatment here. You are a guest of the college, here at the pleasure of the Archmage. I hope you appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, of course. The Archmage has my thanks.
Very good. Then we're done here.
Master.
Welcome to the college.
I was told I should come see you right away.
Another new student. I'm surprised at how many of you there are lately. Well, first you'll need these. While you're not required to wear them, you may find them more to your liking than your current clothes. I'll give you a brief tour, and then we'll get you to your first class. Are you ready to begin?
Very well. I'll follow your lead.
Wonderful. Please follow me, and don't wander off. The College of Winterhold has been a fixture in Skyrim for thousands of years. The prominent feature here is the Hall of the Elements. It's our primary location for lectures, practice sessions, and general meetings. The Arcanaeum is located above the hall, and the Archmage's quarters above that. While technically in charge of the college, the Archmage's responsibilities often keep him occupied. Thus, I run the day-to-day operations. Now, if you'll please follow me, I'll show you the living quarters. Unfortunately, we've had to implement more stringent entry procedures due to some problems with the local Nords. We don't anticipate any real violence, but it never hurts to be prepared.
An interesting place so far. I may grow fond of it.
Our newest members are housed here, in the Hall of Attainment. I'll ask that you please keep your voice down while inside, as others may be working on research or delicate experiments. Now I'll show you to your quarters. You're going to be sharing space with your fellow apprentices, who you'll meet shortly. This is where you'll be staying. This bed and desk are yours. Please try and be considerate of others. Now, let's go back to the Hall of the Elements, where most of the members gather for lectures and study sessions.
I should take my time and quickly change. These new clothes will be much better for our first appearance. Pretty good. A nice fit.
Initially, you'll be learning from Tolfdir, one of our most esteemed wizards. Tolfdir is likely already addressing the new apprentices. Go on in, and if you have any problems, let one of our senior members know.
Thank you for your time, Master. I should hurry on in.
Welcome, welcome. We were just beginning. Please, stay and listen. So, as I was saying, the first thing to understand is that magic is, by its very nature, volatile and dangerous. Unless you can...
Please don't bother the Archmage unless it's absolutely necessary.
Sir, I think we all understand that fairly well. We wouldn't be here if we couldn't control magic.
Of course, my dear, of course. You all certainly possess some inherent natural ability. That much is not being questioned. What I'm talking about is true control. Mastery of magic. It takes years, if not decades, of practice and study.
Then what are we waiting for? Let's get started.
Please, please. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Eagerness must be tempered with caution, or else disaster is inevitable.
But we've only just arrived here. You've no idea what any of us are capable of. Why not give us a chance to show you what we can do?
You've been quiet so far. What do you think we should do?
Well, safety is always important, but I do think we should learn something practical.
Is that so?
See, he agrees with us too. Why don't you actually show us something?
All right, let's settle down. I suppose we can try something practical. In continuing with our theme of safety, we'll start with wards. Wards are protective spells that block magic. I'll teach you all a ward, and we'll see if you can successfully use it to block spells, all right? Would you mind helping me with the demonstration? Are you at all familiar with ward spells?
No, I'm a complete novice at it.
That's all right. I can teach you a very basic ward, one that's enough for the purposes of this lesson. Now, if you'll just stand right over there, I'll cast a spell at you, and you block it with the ward. Here we go. Over there, please, just opposite me. Wouldn't want anyone else in the way. Now, cast the ward spell and keep it up.
All right, here we go.
Hold still. Excellent work. Well, I think this is an excellent start. I'd like you all to continue practicing with wards, please. I think perhaps we're ready to begin exploring some of the various applications of magic throughout history. The college has undertaken a fascinating excavation in the ruins of Sarthal nearby. It's an excellent learning opportunity. I suggest we meet there in a few hours and see what awaits us inside. That's all for now. Thank you.
Sarthal. Interesting. I do think I will not as I've just arrived. I have no need for traveling across the wilderness. I'd much rather enjoy my stay. Perhaps I'll visit a library. Maybe I'll find a few interesting spell tomes or reads.
Eleanor, the library is in disarray. When books are strewn about here and there,
I don't want to see you treating any of these books poorly.
If a book's been
Are we
checked
clear?
out.
I'm sorry.
Very well.
It's just
Are you the one who runs this place?
You are now in the Arcanaeum, of which I am in charge. It might as well be my own little plane of oblivion. Disrupt my Arcanaeum, and I will have you torn apart by angry Atronachs. Now, do you require assistance?
Huh. An interesting sight indeed. Now, do you have any books that may be of interest to a new mage like myself? One with some training, but still an apprentice.
Assorted books, scrolls. I'm sure you'll find something useful.
Not quite I had in mind. Are there any special books?
As a matter of fact, there are. Have you ever heard of Shalador? Immensely powerful mage, back in the First Era. Had an understanding of magic few have ever matched. He holed himself up in Labyrinthian, and devoted all his time to research and study. But more than you would imagine possible. Since then, his writings have been scattered all over Skyrim, but are little use to anyone who can't translate them. I'm one of the few who can. I've heard whispers of more of his work having turned up. If you can track it down, it may prove useful to all of us.
Interesting. Sounds like a bit of a hunt. However, if I'm going to do this much for the college, there wouldn't happen to be any more that the college would possibly request of me, would there?
If you're feeling adventurous, I'm always looking for someone to procure valuable books from some more dangerous locations.
Dangerous. Well, Skyrim itself is dangerous. How bad could it be?
Well, all right, here. I scribbled down the last place I'd heard about. Check it out, but be careful.
Well, for now, Urag, I'll be at peace. Until next time.
Fight well.
Let's look around the library. Perhaps I can find something useful. And who might you be?
What do you need, my friend?
Looking for books, tomes, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll continue my search.
You know, they say knowledge is its own reward.
To some, but to others, they may require more.
Illusion, really, is the least appreciated of the schools of magic.
I can agree to some extent.
You can see me?
Why would I not be able to?
Confound it all, I was quite sure I was invisible. Or at least transparent.
Well, you wouldn't happen to have any interesting spell tomes on you, would you?
Spells and incantations for those with the talent to cast them.
And shall I be forced to wait until the end of the day as well? I will need to have a word with Hurog regarding your training.
Interesting books, spells. But I don't know how useful it would be if I ended up having to go search for these books. Perhaps another time, my friend.
All right, then. If only I could be free of the mundane, day-to-day activities life so often requires.
Confound it all! This page too! That makes 5 in total. This is unacceptable!
You seem extremely upset. Everybody in this library can hear you.
A page from one of these texts, and 4 others. Torn right from the spine. I've consulted with Urog's apprentice girl, and she insisted, rather emphatically, that none of these tomes have been checked out for years. I told the girl that wouldn't preclude a thief from browsing the cases, however. I don't blame her, though. It's the head librarian's duty to keep more sensitive texts behind sealed doors. Or perhaps it's the fault of the one who trained him, not to be more perceptive of sensitive texts. In either case, the result is the same. It is as I feared. Someone has managed to steal key pages from the writings of Trectus.
Trutus. I believe that's actually the founder of this guild.
Indeed. Although I doubt that name lacks reverence here. This is an institution of higher learning, I hope. It certainly has the pretension of one.
So, how did such an error occur? He seems extremely passionate about preserving texts.
It is not an error. It's far more likely that Urog holds an opposing position regarding the substance of these texts. Not to mention a stubborn refusal to recognize that a controversial theory might actually have merit.
Such as?
The majority of scholars are split between 2 disparate camps. Some believe the texts are worthless scribbles written by a child, one who had yet to grasp the vastness of his destiny. Others contend that the author is not Vanus himself, but a pretender hoping to profit from the mage's name. Both camps, however, are in agreement that the texts themselves have no intellectual merit. They are either an amusing reference for biographers and historians, or an elaborate hoax that vexes the very same. There are some, however, who attribute the text to a different origin. Not the young Trictus, but the elder Vanus Galarian. The theory states that Vanus wrote the text in the guise of his younger self, precisely so that scholars would question its authenticity. By diverting the eyes of those who seek power, it provided an extra layer of security, in addition to the cryptic nature of the text itself.
Now then, with some type of cryptic texts, what kind of secrets is he hiding within them?
I mentioned the pages from 5 separate texts were stolen. This is no coincidence. I'm sure you can divine why.
Perhaps. Maybe. Actually, why don't you just tell me?
It pains me to see a member of the college struggling with such a simple query. Are you so daft as to be unaware that there are 5 schools of magic being taught here? No. I apologize. The onus is not on the students, but the professors tasked with curing them of their ignorance. Until next time.
Yes. If there is a next time. First day, already having a vexing. Nearly wanted to punch that mage in the face. Woe is me. How about simply giving an answer, rather than quizzing and quizzing and quizzing? Seems I've come up to the wrong place.
Eleanor, the library is in disarray. When books are strewn...
Quite the view from up here. Almost makes Skyrim seem not bad at all. I think my life in Skyrim might take a turn for the better. It seems to have my work cut out for me. Magical books, lost, scattered through Skyrim. Ancient ruins needing to be explored. And vast amounts of spells and magic yet to be learned. I think my time in Skyrim will be most interesting indeed. Perhaps I'll write a story, if I live that long. If I was, I'd say this would be a good place to stop my first chapter. And to my readers, not yet have come to pass. Until next time.